Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to this week's episode of Tuesday Preppers, where we take a look at the in-game news for Final Fantasy Brave Exvius and see what's coming up in terms of the content, so we can take a look at what we can do to get ready to try and take on that content, usually with an emphasis on killers and items and equipment that's available in the game right now. But with this being a Clash of Wills week, that means we're usually going to go a little bit more in depth and talk about a wide range of units that do a bunch of different things that are maybe going to help put together a team for you to get you ready for Clash of Wills. This has usually been very well received, so I thought we would do it again. As usual, we put together a crack team of folks from my Twitch stream that are going to be helping us put together a list of units. So we'll talk about those units in just a minute. But before we do, let's go ahead and talk about the content that's coming up, so we know what we're really getting ready for. The first thing, the big thing, of course, is just Clash of Wills. We know a lot of this from the live stream, of course, but this is the Lynx XO5 Machine, Human, Demon, weak to fire, ice, water, and light. We know from the notes that it uses non-elemental physical attacks. It does fixed damage, it heals itself, it reduces your party's healing, and then also imbues itself with fire and reduces your fire resistance. So we can take a lot of information from that and use that to try and put together a list of resources that are maybe going to help you kind of get ready for that. Also, remember that boosting your own fire and ice damage for your party is going to increase your morale. So if you have units that can like imbue fire and amplify fire, that's going to help fill morale for you every turn, which is really cool. Note also that there's a big buff here, Enduring Will, that does buffs fire and ice resistance at 150. So even if you don't have a huge buff for your party, you can definitely work this in using Enduring Will. But, you know, the more the better. Obviously, bigger buffs are better. But there you go. So we know we're going to need Machine, Human, and Demon Killer this week, in addition to some units that can provide us with amps and support for fire, ice, water, and light. But that's not the only content that we have. We also have a story event, and they previewed this on the live stream. The story event Hidden Beneath the Mask. You can get a Lapis replica from it, and then you can enjoy a special story about Hyoh and Panthera Ultimus. It has the new challenge level that's for kind of bragging rights and having fun, so that's cool. Some new story gear. This one has evasion on it, as well as equipment attack equipment attack percentage when wearing a fist or a large sword. Nullifies silence, has some decent stats on it. This has guts on it, it's like the death protection ability, ice resistance, and then also some killers on an ability here for demons, humans, and machines. So this is a good one to grab before you go into Clash of Wills, especially if you are bringing Hyoh or Hyoh and Panthera Ultimus, because this is going to boost their killers for the Clash of Wills, which is really, really cool. So, play the story. Make sure you don't skip this, because these are good rewards for free. Make sure you get that done, and could even help you out with your Clash of Wills. But we don't really know anything about it because it's a global exclusive event. But we know we probably are going to need Human Killer, because they did preview on the live stream. This is the story about the battle between Hyoh and Veritas of the Frost, who is a human character. So there you go. Probably need Human Killer. Let's talk a little bit about how we can get all that. So Machine is fairly common, but not the most common. You can get Machine Killer from Doulahan Advanced, the Machine Eater Sense. You can also get really good TMRs and STMRs like Anti-Armor Tactics, Mechanic for the Royal Family, Valued Memories, Last Guardian. Lots of really good Machine Killers. And in fact, a lot of those are at 100%, which is really nice to help kind of like build your Machine Killer quickly. Demon is another one that's really, really common. You can get Crucifying Coercion from the Scorn of Ashura trial, as well as the Mask of Ashura, which has Human Killer and Demon Killer on it, which is really good for this upcoming Clash of Wills. Demon Eater Sense, Demon Killer Plus, Force Mysterian from Lunera. Really, really good things here for Demon Killer. One of the most common killers in the game, not the most common, but it's a very, very common one. The most common is probably Human Killer. You can get lots of things like the Cross Aigion Arm, the Thorn Mace Plus, Mask of Ashura, again, Human and Demon Killer. Man-Eater Sense, the Man-Eater Sense. Elnath Trials, Chamber of Arms has the Man Killer Plus, as well as Guy's Belt, Marine's Trance Saver, Weapon Specialist from Wild Rose Furion. Lots and lots of good Human Killer options. we should have no trouble gearing our units for the upcoming Clash of Wills. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So as usual, like I said, the bigger emphasis is on like what your team's going to look like. Gearing your units for Clash of Wills is an important part, but what your team looks like is important as well. And so as we see in this bulletin, machine, human, demon, fire, ice, water, and light. Lots of notes here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the units that you might be able to put together to make a team. So in terms of machine killer buffers, we're gonna talk about the killers first. In terms of machine killer buffers, this is what we kind of came up with for options, with a specific emphasis on ones that have machine killer above 150%, so 150 or above. Kind of came up with like 2B Neo Vision, Yoshikiri, Kaito in Clash only, White Dragon Ling, Ruin Explorer Nora, Wondrous Flash Lightning. Technically hers is only 100, but her own personal damage is good enough to maybe consider bringing to Clash of Wills. The Vermilion Class 0 Deuce has killer support for all 3 races and also some elemental support as well. Dark Lineage Fina, Ilmatal, this is single target. Also White Mage Creel, Dynast King Scion Ash, and Lara Croft, Dynast King Scion Ash, those are all single target. Lara Croft and Beach Blaster Olive are single target. Engiel has killer support for the party, but not elemental support. Leftia has machine killer, but also does have fire support. Yish has ice support and machine killer. A2 has self buffs. Stormseeker Esther has demon killer and machine, so it's kind of worth talking about her. Neovision's Irvin has self killer buff for machine and also does good water damage. And then Lion has machine killer as well as human killer and light support. So lots of options there for machine. Let's talk about demon. As mentioned, Deuce, Fina, Kaito already on the list. Bulwark has ice support and demon killer. Aya Brea has big self buffs for human and demon. Dark Fina Warrior's Prayer has the big demon killer buff. Paladin Sylvie has demon killer. Blade of Vengeance Ibarra. Wings of Midnight Malphasie. Vilk has a party buff and a self buff. The Christmas Ayaka has a demon killer buff. Lunar Festival Cleome has a demon killer buff. Blades of Black Flame Reagan, Starlight Elena, Fina the Return, Dark Fina and Soul, King Bahimi, Disciple of Avon Leona, and then Richt has a big self killer buff. As far as humans go, a lot of the same ones are already on here. 2B, Yoshikiri, Ling, Deuce, Aya Brea, Blade of Vengeance Ibarra. Let's talk about some other ones. Curse of Immunity, Melissa, Starlight Elena, Ave, Veritas of the Frost, the Dark Lineage version, Red-Eyed Sage Soul, Axstar and Cleome. Besaid Mage Lulu on her Limit Burst has a human killer buff, as does Youth from Rabanastre Vaughn. Flaring Ether Rain has a self-killer buff. Lara Croft has a self-killer buff. Ihana has a single target human killer buff. Lots and lots of choices for these. And so I feel like, picking a party just based on the killer supports, not too hard. And then honestly, for the elemental supports as well, lots of good choices. We kind of already covered water and light last month, but just to kind of add to those, Avon has good buffs for water, light, ice, and fire. So those are definitely an option if you have Avon, the new Avon character. The Mage of the Underworld Chow or Guardian of the Underworld Chow has water and light support. And then lots of other units that we've already talked about last month. Let's talk more about fire. So Blades of Black Flame Reagan has both fire and ice support, which is pretty cool. Ling has fire support. Tsukiko has fire support. Roberta and Ignitos has fire. Lena has fields. Zaz and Vanille both have fields. Leftia, Lunar Festival, Cleome. Marine type Runda has fire support, technically. Neovision's Rain, as well as Flaring Ether Rain. Ash, Deuce, Leona again has amps, but not necessarily imbues. Abigail has amps and imbues. Aerith in Red 13 is an old unit that has amps and imbues. Kid from the Chrono Cross event has fields, imperils, and damage. Youth from Rabanastre Vaughn, again, imperils, damage, killers. And Ingus, Red Mage Ingus has imbues and fields, as well as breaks. So lots of options there. For ice, Reagan again, Zaz, Ayaka has imbues and killers and damage. The old Veritas of the Frost has a big field and like imbues and stuff like that. Frostblade Fravia has kind of everything all in one at a kind of a lower level. The new Bewitching Warrior Yish, Elegant Eternal Radiance Elena, Yoshihiri again. Cleome has better support for fire, but technically has ice as well. Roberta has an amp for ice, but why are you not using fire? Triumphant General Celeste. Christine is an old unit that has Extreme Nova chaining frames on an ice ability that is morale scaling. Pretty cool, as well as just some like ice imbue and stuff like that. It's just not very good. Like 35% not very good. It's just there. Bulwark is here again. Ilmatal has ice support. Yish has obvious ice support with Breaks, Machine Killer, and Big Ice Imperil. As long as you unlocked it with her crowns, which is pretty cool. Yish is a nice option there. Maybe just for like maybe not like a high level clear. Maybe just like a clearing level 99 just because you need to type of a thing. And then water and light. Those options are there. We talked about them last month. The big ones, of course, are Kaito, because he got his big buffs to his breaks, and he now has that Imperil field, which makes him viable for a light team as well, because between his big Omni Imperil skill and his light field, he now has a 150 light Imperil for the party. So it's there. It's an option. Things you could do, right? Let's also talk, though, about the things that you need to prepare your party for. They said that the boss does physical damage, fixed damage, non-elemental damage, fire type damage, and it does like healing reduction. So let's talk a little bit about that. As far as like dealing with this, like with tanks, technically, Lilith is a damage dealing tank that covers your party against physical damage. Her mitigations are bad. We know this, but like they are there. You could maybe bring Lilith. We have to kind of wait and see how this Clash of Wills is going to go. We don't know yet. King Bahimi, though, also does physical cover and fills morale and has some demon mitigation. I think human mitigation too. It might just be demon, but definitely has one of the mitigations you need, which is pretty cool. Runda, though, just like generally speaking, is like the budget option for tanking and has really good mitigations. Does some fire support as well. Hey, we just got Beast King Crocodile as a free unit if you've been playing for the past few weeks for EX3. He does wind damage, which is not ideal, but he's a tank. Avalanche's Barret also has some fire support and is a physical tank that does damage. Maybe an option. Gabrant is an older unit as well that does physical tanking and does some fire support. Kind of cool. In terms of boosting your fire resistance, though, the big three are Abigail, Avalanche's Barret, and Lunar Festival Cleome. All three of them have Barfire Raja, which boosts your party's resistance to fire by 200%, which is really big. You just might not want to be bringing Abigail to this fight because she's a magic cover tank rather than a physical cover tank. We know we need a physical cover tank. Abigail might not make the cut since we need to be, having damage dealers and tanks and stuff like that. So I'm leaning more towards like Lilith or Barret here, and then go from there. As far as healing reduction, there's not really anything we can do about our healing reduction that the boss gives us, other than just healing through it. So Lilith actually heals quite a bit with her healing ability. Abigail, if you had her, can counter heal, but again, magic tank versus physical tank. Elena, if you were bringing her for her leader skill, she can cast cure spells and she can counter heal as well, but again, magic tank. But the big one is just like if you have the Saviors plus Clash of Wills armor, it heals your party every turn as well as gives you HP barriers, which is really a nice option. And then as far as fixed damage go, again, nothing you can really do about it except for just put up good mitigations. So Runda and Abigail make the list. Also, Mystic Tenacity, which is an ability you can get in the Clash of Wills shop right now. Excuse me. In the Clash of Wills shop right now, you can get this Mystic Tenacity. It boosts your defense, HP, and spirit by 50% and reduces physical and magic damage dealt by beasts, humans, reapers, and machines. This boss is Machine and Reaper, so that is an option to equip on your tank and your like a provoke tank and a cover tank. If you can get two of these. if you haven't already. And then, you've got mitigations built in just from an ability slot, which is really, really nice. Or the vision card, blood is thicker than water. I'll go ahead and pull that up on screen. If you have it, this is Elisperis's vision card, right? Has this ability, Bewitching Mother. Gives you 30% mitigation from humans, machines, and dragons at 30% for 5 turns to the whole party. So somebody wearing this vision card could be really valuable for keeping your tank alive the first 5 turns. Now, after those 5 turns, hopefully you've got all your defenses in order, because it could get a little dicey. But for the first 5 turns, you'd be kind of probably a little safer to set up with this vision card, somebody wearing on your party. So, real quick, want to go ahead and show our contributors for the night. Our contributors for the night were Harvey 2 Dent, Vito 10,000, Tsureyu 7, MK Ultra, Sketch 262, Azamar 81, and Tech Black Novice. Thank you guys so much for your contributions to our discussion about what you might want to bring in terms of units. Let's take a look now at what we came up with for some units and some sample teams. Now, disclaimer, I don't know if these teams are going to work. It's very well possible that these teams might not work at all. It's very well possible that these teams could. But I'm going to show you 2 examples of some EX16 teams that kind of meet all of our needs. We're going to start with this one here. So this is a light focused team. Even though not all the units are light category units, this team would focus on doing light damage. Between Athena the Return and Squall, we've got our light imbues and amplifies covered. Notice we don't have the espers lined up right, because Athena would need to be wearing Bahamut so she could cast her light field and stuff like that. But Athena could give everybody a permanent uptime 70% light amp. And then Knights of Grandshelt just does good light damage, as well as gears really easily. Elena's just a good chainer that can do light damage with Bolting Strike. So does Squall. Kaito for breaking and imperiling, putting his field up. And then Runda for tanking. Maybe not super ideal as a team. Could probably get you through level 99, if you gear them well enough. But maybe you're not going to do like the full perfect score capping level 99 type team. Maybe I'm wrong. We won't know until we see this boss on Thursday. But let me show you another example of a better, what we feel like is a better team. But before I do, so Fina's giving Human Killer and Demon Killer. Kaito's giving Demon Killer and Machine Killer. We've got light support. Runda's doing mitigations and physical tanking. We don't really have really good fire support, although now that I'm thinking about it, Runda cannot. We don't really have really good fire support on this team. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. Maybe somebody could be wearing like Carbuncle to cast Bar Fire Regar or something like that. Or you could take advantage of the morale buff that the fight gives you for 150%. That'd be cool. So there you have it. We've got fire, theoretically. We got fixed damage support. We got killer support. We got light support. Damage capping, probably not the best. Will it clear 99? Maybe. I don't know for sure. I think what a better team is going to look like is going with a pure fire team. So I'm going to go ahead and load that up. All right. Here's our fire team that we came up with. Looking a little bit better. So we've got, Flaring Aether Rain, Lunar Festival Cleome, Kaito, again, not a fire unit, but he's wearing, in this case, he's wearing the card that's going to give him a 100% fire amp. We've got Lilith for tanking, Melissa for killers, and then there's morale support, Aya Brea for big damage. And the kind of general thought here would be that, Lilith could start us off with a tag chain. Aya and Cleome could chain with Extreme Nova, and then Rain and Kaito could chain with Bolting Strike at the end to kind of like take advantage of Rain's 8x cap. That's kind of my theory on that. I don't know how that works, but the cool thing is that You know, Rain's got 150. Aya has 150. Cleom has 150. Kaito would have 100, and then Lilith would just kind of be like leftover. What, you know, she's not going to have a really big fire amp, but she's going to be like, you know, imbued with what Rain can give her, what Cleom can give her. Cleom can give her, I believe, with not Scarlet Sharp Note, Blood Red performance. She can give 60%. Oh no, she gives 45% for 3 turns, but boosts herself for 60%. So Lilith would have a 45% amp, which is better than nothing. You know, Kaito would have a 100, and then all of them would have 150s. Actually, would Aya have a 180? Because in Clash of Wills, she's got her. She's got 150. Doesn't she have the bigger one in Clash of Wills? Am I crazy? I thought she had the bigger one. It's hard to because they don't always show the Clash of Wills buffs. Hold on, let me look that up really fast. Yeah, Aya Brea definitely has this ability here, the pyrokinesis. Right there is a 180 increased fire magic damage by 180. So she does have the 180. So would go really nicely on this fire team. So we just don't see it on they don't always show everything here on this screen because it's this. Here we go. Pyrokinesis. There we go. 180. So it does morale. It does 180 buff. Yeah, there it is. Pyrokinesis. Perfect. I knew she had something. So she's going to be a solid addition to our team in addition to having killers for herself. Rain has killers for himself. Cleom has killers for the party, as well as, you know, Barfai Raja. You know, Kaito has, you know, breaks. Not huge imperils, but, you know, we're working with what we got. We're going off of big stats. And actually, in this clear, you know, Aya is our leader because her buff applies to everybody in the party. So that's kind of cool. Anyways, that's just a sample. I don't know if it's going to work. It's just kind of where we landed after thinking out loud about like what team's going to work and what's not going to work. It at least covers all of our bases. So that's kind of cool. But there you go. There's just an example. Now, one last thing I wanted to talk about before we let you go is the banners themselves and like whether or not I think pulling is good or how I think pulling is going to go. And so let's take a look at those banners right now. Here's the new units, Hyoh and Panthera Ultimus and Solitary Warrior, Veritas of the Frost. And we have, make this a little bit bigger. I mean, you can look at this on your game, but a little bit bigger. We have 2 step-up options. One is for the vision card that is best in slot for them most likely. And then like this like collection of units that is like kind of the standard step-up that we get. It says special step-up, but this is kind of like the normal step-up that we get like for a banner these days. And then there's this one, which is guaranteed to give you one of the 2 at the end, as well as some other goodies along the way. Worth noting that this banner does not contribute to you getting pity at all. All these tickets that are on here are for the consolidated pool of units that are included. It's called a what is it called? Curated list. This is just the curated list, and the curated list is gonna be a little bit different. This does not contribute to pity at all. So what this boils down to is the card. Each lap for the card, and you can do 2 of these. Each lap for the card costs you 28k. Each lap of this step up costs you 14k, and this guarantee costs you 36k. So I kind of did some math and broke down a couple options for like what you could do if you were considering doing some pulls on this, and that looks kind of like this. So here's what you need to know. The card step up again costs you 28k. And along the way, you get 5 exchange tickets. Now, you need 17 exchange tickets to pity a copy of the unit. So, yeah. That's a big deal. The normal step up here is 14K, and you get 4 exchange tickets along the way. So that's kind of cool. And then again, the exchange down here, 0 exchange tickets, but 36K, you get a guaranteed copy. So option number 1, you could go for the card and then complete 3 laps on the step up to get 17 tickets. And it's going to cost you 70K. So that gets you a guaranteed one or the other and a copy of the card. You could skip the card altogether and do 4 laps plus an additional step for 58.5K. So with that, you don't get the card at all, but you pity the units and probably get a bunch of other stuff along the way. I'll go ahead and throw out here right now, this collection of units that are on this like Allied Neovision Special Step Up are my favorite that we've ever seen. I want all of these units. So for me, this would be really ideal if I was going for this. I already have Genesis and I already have Dark Lineage Lastwell, but I don't have EX2 of either of them. So any of these units would be welcome additions to my account. I don't have Zaz at all. I don't have Yish at all. I would not be upset if I got any of these units. This is really nice. But anyway, so 58K, 58.5K to get to just do this without the card at all. Or if you're feeling really spicy, you could do 2 laps on the card step up plus another full lap and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get 17 tickets. And that only costs you 80K. So you can ask yourself, like, do I want to spend 70K, get 1 copy of the card and 1 guarantee unit, or spend 10K more, get 2 copies of the card and 1 guaranteed unit? I think if you have the 80K and you really feel like blowing it on two of these vision cards, because maybe you really want to run Hyoh and Veritas of the Frost in the same party at the same time, for 10 extra K, you can do that and have their vision card twice. So I think if you have the vision card, or if you have the Lapis, that's a pretty decent way to spend an additional 10K. Like, that's not bad at all. Or you could do the card step up because you want all these goodies, right? You could do the card step up, but skip the card, right? So you could do this all the way here and then do like 3 laps on this vision card step up, or this step up here for 64K. Which is like kind of the worst option in my opinion, because you don't get the card and you have to spend more than just doing the step up. So like, I feel like for me personally, if I had the Lapis, I would probably lean more towards option 1, 70K, because I would like the unit and I would like the card for the unit. I assume that these units are going to be added to the pool permanently, so getting a copy of this card I think is a good investment. I have enough Lapis to get 1 step up of the card currently. If we get some more Lapis here in the near future, I might have enough to go ahead and go the rest of the way. But I don't currently have enough to pity. And people who watch my videos know that I don't generally like to chase after premium units. I especially don't like to chase after premium units if I don't have enough Lapis to pity them. And I don't have any tickets currently because I blew them all trying to get Avon, and I don't have any, so didn't get Avon either. I got Viren though. That's kind of cool. But anyway, so I don't have enough Lapis to go all the way to pity on this any of the ways, and except for if I just did this, but then I wouldn't have the card, and I feel like that's not a good way to go. So what I'm thinking about doing is just getting the card and stopping. Getting 1 copy of the card and calling it a day. I technically have enough to go ahead and get both copies of the card, but I also want to save for Christmas. You know, Christmas is coming, so and I do like units. The units seem cool, but we don't know their kits yet. So like, I can't say like whether or not that's a really good investment of your Lapis at this point. But like for me, kind of looking at like these 4 options, I feel like the one that makes the most sense to me is kind of the middle of the road option of the go ahead and doing the card step up and a pity, or at the very least grabbing 1 copy of the card, because I think it's a good investment if you want either of these units in the future. I assume they're going to be in the pool. And that's all I really have to say about that. More information as it will develop with information that comes out in the game on Thursday. Speaking of Thursday, Thursday is Thanksgiving. I will not be streaming on Thursday night. So if I do any polls, it will probably be either Friday or Saturday during my usual stream time. Doing Thanksgiving-y stuff on Thanksgiving, so won't be playing the game. Well, I won't be, at least I won't be streaming the game. I'll probably be playing the game like while I'm watching a parade. Let's be honest. But yeah, doing the story event and for sure, and maybe working on that Clash of Wills, and we'll see how it goes. But won't be streaming the game on Thursday. But we'll see what comes up. We gotta look and see what's gonna come out on Thursday as far as like information about the units. They seem really cool. They look great from like a sprite perspective. You know, we already talked a lot about what these units can do from the live stream, the beige carpet review. So they look, you know, they look great. I'm excited. I'm actually weirdly kind of more interested in Veritas of the Frost. I don't know why, but I'm kind of more interested in that one. But we'll see. Either way, thanks for sticking around for half an hour and talking about the killers. I'm going to be putting the list of all the killers, you know, the killers and the elemental supports. I'm going to put that list in a comment, a pinned comment with a picture so you guys can look at that screenshot of all that stuff and the supports and things like that. That way you can kind of have a sense of what we talked about. And definitely make sure you go get the killers that you need and get ready for a story event, which is really cool. And we'll see you guys later, probably on Saturday. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.